Following yet another deadly shooting by a federal officer in Minnesota, state leaders say they want to be a part of the investigation. But the Department of Homeland Security says the investigation belongs to them. That dynamic puts the state and federal government at odds over the shooting death of 37-year-old Minneapolis resident and ICU nurse Alex Pretti. Live now to former Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Gil Kerlikowske. Thank you so much for talking to us today. I can't imagine that this case isn't completely weighing on you so much. Right off the top, this case, as well as the fatal shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis, a lot of Minnesota officials say they'd like to be a part of the investigation. So as a former commissioner who knows this process, is it unusual that the federal government will take over and not allow state or local police to have anything to do with the investigation?
Yeah, it's not only unusual, it's completely unprecedented. When I was commissioner, if a Border Patrol agent used deadly force, and sometimes they did, quite often the Department of Public Safety, for instance, in Texas, the local sheriff or even a local police department, depending on where the jurisdiction was able to participate and be a part of that investigation, along with which was routine for the criminal civil rights investigation to be opened by the FBI. And now no one seems to know what this current investigation is and what information they're trying to gather and how they're going to even release it. So I think it's wise to be very skeptical of what's going on.
If you were in charge, how would you be doing things differently?
Well, as the Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, you could direct that the investigations from the Office of Professional Standards, that's like the internal affairs of CBP, they would cooperate and coordinate with local authorities. And of course, the FBI would oftentimes do very much the same thing. Remember, we have a whole long history of federal law enforcement communicating, cooperating, working closely with their state and local partners. So to have this situation where they've been excluded from even gathering information is unprecedented.
In the desire to be fair to all parties, is there any scenario where excluding local police could be seen as protective of the investigation that you can see?
No, because I would think that given all the uses of force by police departments, sheriff's departments, state police around the country, those investigations are just very common, and they're common to be done in coordination with other entities. Any attempt to exclude or to potentially hide information from state and local authorities just raises the concern of the citizens. You know, transparency is kind of the coin of the realm. And so you would think that they would want to be transparent, but that has not been the case at all.
We've seen video. So many people have seen the video, the killing of Alex Pretti, from so many different vantage points. And it seems like the interpretation of that video is vastly different between state leaders, local leaders, and federal leaders. When you look at that video, which way does the wind blow with you?
Well, I would think that when they recovered the gun that he had, which he had legally and lawfully, the shots were fired almost simultaneously with the time that other agent is bringing the gun out. So I think there is a question whether those other people knew that the gun had been recovered, that he had been disarmed. I think it's still a bit early to categorize exactly what has happened, but I would think an open, coordinated investigation with state and local authorities would go a long way to satisfying the demands of the public to know what's going on, and the demands of, as we saw, members of Congress and the media.
Yeah, not the least of which Alex Pretti's family as well. We also know President Trump has deployed border czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis today. So what can he do there on the ground in his official capacity? What would you like to see him do to try to turn the temperature down and start to see trust once again be built?
Yeah. So what happened after that killing of Miss Good was that Tom Homan had made a statement about, it's still too early for him to tell, and I'd like to see the investigation. Well, almost immediately, President Trump, the Vice President, and Secretary Kristi Noem all came out and said, "Oh no, this shooting is absolutely justified, and there's no reason to go any further." The Deputy Attorney General came out and said, "Well, there's no reason for the FBI to investigate. You can't make those determinations that quickly." Well, unfortunately for Mr. Homan, he had to turn around then and say the same narrative. But I know Tom. I worked with him for a number of years, the 3 years that I was commissioner. I would hope that he would bring some light and some reasonable to this. And also, I think that it would be really important for people like Stephen Miller and Secretary Noem to back off the stage because, as the Wall Street Journal said today, they are not credible spokespersons.
We will be covering President Trump's conversation with reporters from the Wall Street Journal a little bit later in this broadcast. For now, Gil Kerlikowske, thank you so much for your perspectives today. We appreciate you so much.